Walmart is one of the companies that, due to the economic crisis we are facing right now in the US, a lot of people are flocking to Walmart, including people that are higher income individuals. That's one reason stores like Walmart and Costco have been doing so well over these past several months, because they have gained a lot of new customers in the light of inflation, because prices on everything have gone up so much that even people that make a good living are looking for a deal right now and are starting to shop at discount stores like Walmart and Costco. But apparently Walmart could have a dark side to it in terms of the effects it has on the local community and the local neighborhoods. It's been no secret that when a Walmart opens up in the area, a lot of smaller retail shops and grocery stores, for that matter, end up going out of business because they simply can't compete with a company like Walmart. And it kind of raises an interesting question, because one of the core values of capitalism is, let's see who can make the cheapest products for the best price and make the most money, right? So Walmart has been extremely successful at that business model. And of course, a lot of people love Walmart, particularly now more than ever, because people save thousands of dollars a year shopping there. But there has to be some negative consequences to this, right? There was a couple of new research papers that came out on this that I thought were interesting and shed some light on the damage that a Walmart opening up in your town or community can actually do. The biggest conclusion from these research papers was that when a Walmart starts operating in a community, they end up making the entire area poorer than they would have been if Walmart never showed up at all. Well, how is that possible? Because they offer lower prices than what was there before, right? Yeah, but it comes with some other side effects, because when a Walmart shows up in any given town, it causes consumers to change their shopping habits, people switch jobs, competitors have to shift their strategies, and suppliers end up shifting their output. One of these papers, they track a wide range of outcomes of more than 18,000 people across the US, going all the way back to 1968. And they basically matched up two demographically comparable groups of individuals within the data set and observed what happened when a Walmart was open in their area and what happened when one wasn't. And what they found out was, within 10 years after a Walmart supercenter opened in a given community, the average household in that community experienced a 6% decline in yearly income, equivalent to about $5,000 a year in 2024. And that's compared obviously with households that didn't have a Walmart open up near them. But of course, the loss of income could be made up for if these people who lost that income ended up shopping at Walmart, right? What a convenience. According to a study done by Walmart itself back in 2005, they claimed that they saved people about an average of $3,100 a year when adjusted for inflation. So that's the latest number as of 2024. But things still aren't math in here if we just look at the simple math, right? If the average income goes down by $5,000 in a 10-year time frame and you're only saving $3,000 a year, that's still a $2,000 a year gap that's not being accounted for. The data also shows that poverty increases by about 8% in places where a Walmart opens relative to places that don't have a Walmart open. And that's even when you factor in the cost savings that Walmart allows people to have when shopping at the store. But then the second study that they did looks at what happened when a Walmart tried to open up in places but failed due to local resistance, because some of the research suggests that Walmart might be selecting locations based on hidden characteristics that are not being disclosed, like the areas facing deindustrialization or deunionization that already predispose these places to growing poverty to begin with. So if Walmart is in fact doing that and selecting these areas in a sneaky way, then all of these areas should be subject to those same hidden characteristics. And so the second paper finds that workers in counties where a Walmart opened experienced a greater decline in earnings than they made up for with cost savings, leaving them worse overall. So the theory goes like this: when Walmart comes to town, it uses its low prices to undercut competitors and become the dominant player in a given area. That forces local mom and pop grocery stores and retail stores and regional chains to slash their costs or go out of business. Those are your two choices. And as a result, the local farmers and bakers and manufacturers that used to sell their goods to those retailers that are out of business are gradually replaced by Walmart's array of national and international suppliers. And Walmart typically sources anywhere between 60 to 80% of its goods from China. So they found out that 5 years after a Walmart enters a given county, total employment falls by about 3%, with the most decline concentrated in goods producing establishments. And then once the Walmart becomes the major employer in town, it ends up being what they call, and similar to a monopoly, a monopsony describes a company that can afford to pay low wages because workers have so few alternatives. And this is also why Walmart consistently pays lower wages than their competitors like Target and Costco. So ultimately, Walmart uses its power to suppress wages and basically take over the entire local economy. But unlike McDonald's and other fast food restaurants that are getting hit big time right now with slower sales and all kinds of problems, Walmart is just exploding right now and is showing no signs of slowing down. And this also gives Walmart a tremendous amount of power over its producers who supply them with goods. Like, for example, you have little choice but to comply with their demands. Otherwise, you're worried about losing your largest customer. And of course, selling to Walmart at such low prices can force suppliers to lay off their workers and lower wages for the ones who remain. So this is how it ends up having a downward negative effect on the entire local economy, not just people who work or shop at Walmart. And to make matters even worse, a lot of these suppliers end up having to charge their other customers more to make up for the heavy discount they're giving to Walmart, which ends up exacerbating the problem. Having the most available goods at the lowest price possible might not actually be the best business model for America. No politician wants to touch this issue, and who wants to be the one blamed for taking away low prices from consumers, especially at a time like now when you're completely strapped because of inflation. It is just one interesting vicious cycle with this company, man. Even if you don't shop at Walmart, you're still probably part of the problem, because if you don't shop at Walmart, chances are you probably buy a lot of things from Amazon. I know I do, because they ship things to my house. I don't have to go out and get it. And the amount of time and money it saves me just on my time alone is worth its weight in gold. So having things shipped to my front door is so much more convenient and saves me a lot more money than just the lower price that it initially offers. But you see, all of these companies are guilty of the same thing. They're all, little by little, taking over the entire American economy, leaving us with few options left. And one thing I haven't talked about in a little while is electric cars. And I read a story saying this is why we should be subsidizing electric vehicles in the United States, because obviously now that Trump is going to be president pretty soon, a lot of people are worried that the EV tax credits are going to go away, which is something he's already threatened to do. Honda and Nissan, they already recently announced plans to merge by 2026. And the reason why they're doing this is because they need to keep up with the competition in the electric vehicle industry, because China has become the world's leading car exporter thanks to its subsidization of electric cars. Never mind the fact that a lot of these cars are extremely dangerous and very poorly made and catch fire all the time and have lots of manufacturing defects, but because everybody just cares about the price, just like shopping at Walmart, let's not look at the quality, let's not look at if this thing might kill me. It's just great that I can buy a car for 10 grand. But they go on to say here that because we subsidize electric vehicle purchases here in the US, this kind of levels the playing field for American businesses when it comes to competition with Europe and China in the electric car market. Like, so what, guys? Why do we need to compete on this? Everybody's so convinced that this is the wave of the future, but yet the sales of these cars are cratering at the same time. More and more people say that they don't even want one. The people that already own one are wanting to go back to the gas-powered cars because of all the problems with them. One of my viewers sent me this video. I'll roll a clip of it here on the screen so you guys can see. I think this was in Sweden. And look at all of those Teslas waiting in line, and look how long the lines are to charge these cars. I mean, who in their right mind would be wanting to deal with this situation? This is just so crazy. If I was an electric car owner and I even had to experience something like this even once, that would be enough for me to go back to a gas-powered car and never look back. Of course, top it off with the fact that this is in Sweden, there's snow on the ground, it's freezing cold, and the batteries don't hold a charge or charge as fast in conditions like this. And so the amount of energy you're even going to get out of the charge to begin with is lower than it would be otherwise. Some people are worried about the jobs that the EV market has created here in the US. They say, in the past 2 years, Ford and GM have announced more than 100,000 new EV related jobs. Also, you have the plants that are building batteries and parts for these cars. And because we have these tax credits, it's allowed massive growth all the way up the EV supply chain here in the US. And then they talk about how, the credits have strict eligibility standards requiring that the majority of critical minerals and battery components come from the US or an ally, which can also easily be thwarted just by leasing a car. You can lease any electric car and get this tax credit, and because it doesn't apply to leased cars. So that's a huge loophole that's been in effect for quite some time that pretty much everybody knows about. It's funny too, because they just cite one moment in history. They say, well, in November of 2024, the sales of EVs are up 13.6% year over year. But that's just 1 month out of the entire year. They talk about how much the electric car sales are growing, but the reality is that the share of electric vehicle sales is only about 8.9% in the United States, guys. So the vast majority of people are still not buying these cars, despite they say, oh, it's up 30% year over year, or it's up 18% year over year this month or whatever. But those increases are minor, and it's not this major shift or transition that they try to paint the picture that it is. They say if we get rid of the EV tax credit, then we're going to see this domino effect where you're going to see plants close here in the United States, sales will slow even further, and American businesses won't be able to compete on the global market. Why do we need to? We can just make cars that people actually want to buy. Anybody ever thought about that? They also say this is going to cost the US billions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of jobs. Protecting this industry is common sense. It saves American families, it invests in local economies, and keeps the country in this economic race. To me, this is equivalent to back when we used to have video stores, right? When we had Blockbuster and all of those stores, the local family video stores where you could just walk in and rent the latest movie. Man, do I miss those days. I think about that all the time, every time I'm surfing through Netflix or Max or whatever, and I can't find something I want to watch. I just miss going to the video store, man. But anyways, this would be like people back then doubling down on investing in video stores at a time when Netflix was on the rise. I attribute that as a very similar situation with the electric car industry. People are moving away from it. They talk about how good the adoption is, but it's not being adopted on the level of something like Netflix was, where it's just completely wiped out video stores in a matter of a few years. We've had electric cars for decades now, and the adoption rate isn't anywhere near where they were hoping it would be. And after people are facing massive problems like what I showed you in this video from Sweden, who's going to want to deal with that? I know I certainly wouldn't. And you have to wonder too, how many of these electric cars over in California also contributed to the wildfire situation. I'm not saying they started the wildfires, but if you have a Tesla that ends up catching on fire due to a wildfire, that just makes the problem even worse, because those fires can burn on for days and can't be put out, which can make it easier for fires to spread, especially with those Santa Ana winds. That's something I haven't seen any news outlet talk about at all yet. Not even one news outlet has mentioned how many Teslas have been engulfed in flames, and those batteries are causing the fire situation to be even worse. And obviously it's not just Teslas, it's all electric cars. It's so funny because every time I speak its name, there it is, right? They just show up. And now that Biden is going to be leaving office pretty soon, he recently gave a speech which was kind of funny. He says, "I believe the economy I'm leaving is the best in the world and it's stronger than ever for all Americans." He says, "We'll see what the next president does." He's like, yeah, employers added 256,000 jobs last month, up from the 212,000 in November. And that final jobs report of 2024 shows just how robust this economy is, even though all of these months with the jobs have been revised down. So that's just one last lie on his way out the door, I guess, just looking at how horrible the jobs numbers are, because you can pretty much bet that the higher the number is, the more inaccurate it probably is at this point. And they're saying, well, look, you know, we've seen these jobs numbers grow so tremendously, even though we have high interest rates. But yeah, even though the jobs numbers aren't actually growing like they say, because they always do get revised down. Stock market took a little plunge from that as well, because now it looks like, due to all the fake jobs data, that we're not going to see the Fed cut rates maybe at all in 2025. And if they do, maybe just once. Now, I'm not sitting here blaming everything on Biden either, because obviously a lot of the policies that Biden inherited were put into place by Trump, especially a lot of the bad COVID practices that we had with the stimulus checks and the amount of money that was being printed while Trump was still president. The Biden administration took that over and basically put it all on steroids and made a bad situation even worse. Something that I said on the channel here time and time again, I don't have a whole lot of faith that once Trump becomes president, things are really going to turn around. In fact, it's likely to just keep going down the tube in the direction it's already been going for the past few years. There's not really much Trump can do at this point to turn things around on a dime. Maybe eventually he can, if he's smart and he puts into place a lot of common sense policies, but that's yet to be seen. We'll see. I ain't trying to be political here either, guys. I'm just trying to give you guys an idea of how little faith I have in anybody who's in charge of this country, regardless of political affiliation or job title. But it's just funny, you know, that Biden's talking about how strong the economy is, using all the fake numbers to kind of support that claim. We just saw mortgage rates rise for 4 weeks in a row. Speaking of mortgage rates, anybody take a look at the 30-year mortgage rate lately? Yeah, it's pretty bad. We're looking at 7.24% right now, guys, which is about 1.5 points higher than it was when the Fed started cutting rates. Imagine that. We're going to get the new inflation numbers coming out next week, and I'm already seeing reports that the food inflation is probably going to be worse due to the egg shortage and the bird flu situation that caused problems with that. Also, beef prices have been on the rise, so we're likely to see food inflation go up in the next report, and we know housing inflation isn't getting any better either. So we're likely to see the inflation numbers continue to rise into 2025. You know, it's no wonder we see so many companies struggling right now and so many bankruptcy filings. One of my viewers sent me over this email message. He has an attorney that deals with bankruptcies, okay? And this is what the attorney said about it. He says, in the past 18 months, there's been a noticeable increase in Chapter 11 bankruptcies, which is when businesses reorganize. And in the past 18 months, I've had more cases come across my desk than in the previous 8 years of my career combined. Think about that for a second, guys. As a bankruptcy attorney, you're seeing cases at levels that you haven't seen in 8 years combined. And this is supposed to be the greatest economy ever that Biden is handing over to the next president? Come on. So I appreciate JD for sending that over to me, because it's an eye-opening situation, just like my friend Alan, who works for the debt collection agency and is always giving me updates on how robust that business is right now, because things are going so well. But the silver lining in all of this is that people can't be fooled, regardless of what's happening with the numbers, right? People don't care about the numbers. Nobody cares what the official inflation numbers are. Nobody cares what the official jobs numbers are before revisions. All people care about is, how am I doing now? How does my future look? And am I able to live comfortably and enjoy my life and still have money left over to have some fun? That's what people care about. No one cares what the CPI is. Nobody cares how many fake jobs were or were not created. Everybody just cares about their own individual quality of life and the quality of life they're able to give to their families. And because of that, I hope we're going to see a lot more common sense policies and things start to happen in this country now that more and more people are waking up to this. And I'm happy to do my part here on YouTube and just help more and more people become aware of what's really going on. And it just makes me happy to see that more and more people are waking up. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And if you don't want to wait for my next video to come out, check out this one on the screen right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.